I'm
You
not
s-
really in Chennai. We're live now. I'm in Kuwait right now.
okay.
Yeah.
Hi Tejaswini Sundar. I am
Hi.
Sarvajit Gaurav. I'm from Bangalore. I'm doing my BA LLB at law course at Ramaya College of Law. And
Thank you for having me.
it's a great honor to have you. And let me introduce about you to the viewers. Tejaswini Sundar is a young, talented, and ambitious woman native to the city of Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and birthed on Middle East lands of Kuwait. She kicked off her career by pursuing a bachelor's degree at Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Ahmedabad, in information technology, and currently works as an associate software engineer for HRIT firms. She dabbed into the world of content writing, the to the spoke topic of educational technology, and travels as a contribute to social welfare and charities. For more information about Tejaswani Sundar, you can go to the site at www.tejaswanisundar.com, which will be sent in the comments. And hello, first tell me about what made you pursue this information technology fields.
Information technology, the only reason I did a degree in this is because I had familial expectations to meet. My family consists of engineers, especially IT engineers and software engineers, electrical engineers as well. So I was sort of uh, pushed into the line, although it did give me a lot of insight into as in how to use logic around creativity. It did give me the opportunity to sort of help me publish my book first, like without any external help. So I published my book by myself. So it's something I'm proud of with my IT degree. So yeah, that's not really. I mean, there was no other reason that I had other than familial expectations. Other than that, there was no reason.
I've heard MNNIT is
Yeah,
at Ahmedabad. It's very
Allahabad.
difficult to.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to the education system, like very tough
Yeah,
education.
engineering in itself is difficult, especially when you have to, like compete in the JEE mains and your entrance exams and stuff. So, yeah, like MNIT is difficult, it's challenging, but it does open a lot of gateways to the various corporate worlds you want to get into, like the various engineering uh, sort of jobs you'd want to figure out. So it does open up a lot of channels, and yeah, you sort of meet talent, and you interact with people. It's nice. It was a nice experience. Yes.
Okay, can you inspire us with your story of success, hope, faith, and your journey as a writer?
Okay, story of success. Success right now is a little far fetched. Being truthful, so yeah, it's a long reach. Success is a long reach for now. Otherwise, yeah, what really inspired me to be a writer was several factors. Firstly, it was my paternal grandfather. He was very interested he always showed interest in history and mythology, both Indian and Western. So he would share a lot of stories with my brother and I. So we ended up, having our childhood filled with a lot of interesting stories and documentaries and stuff. So that sort of inspired me to be a little more creative, and it helped me incline more on the creativity side of the family. So yeah, I began writing from when I was, I think, about 7 or 8, and that
Okay.
was when I started reading the Harry Potter series. That was the first time, and various other books as well. So it was like the Enid Blyton series, and then after that, it was the Hunger Games, it was the Divergent series. So like book after book, it kept going, and my interest kept increasing. And so I finally took to writing my book, Sangam the Awakening. I took to writing it, I think Jan of 2019. Yeah, that was when I first started writing it, and finally saw it published in 2020 of October. Yeah.
It's really great. And I've heard that your book has got the rating of 4.7, which is the top leading rates among the other books. It is in a
Yeah.
success position.
Yeah, I mean, it is. So I'm like, I'm happy. That way I am. I mean,
Did
it's
you
getting a lot of.
did you even
Sorry?
expect that? Did you even expect that you would have such a big reach?
No, I didn't. I did not. Absolutely not. You don't write with the expectation that you'd become famous one day. You write because you want to write. So that was what I wanted to do. And reviews came only, yeah, the tension behind a review only came after I started seeking out reviewers to sort of, read my book and, see what needs to be improved or what shouldn't be. So, yeah, like I started receiving positive comments almost immediately, and it was a breath of fresh air. It was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, yeah, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Sangam the Awakening, the cover page and the title seems very unique. Can you give some more insights into the book?
When you mean by insight, what exactly do you want me to share? The
You
gist
can
of the story or
no,
anything?
just the synopsis. And actually, it is my bad. I actually ordered your book, but due to the travels or something, they postponed it. Due to some circumstances, I didn't get the book. So,
Okay.
yeah, maybe by
No, not a
tomorrow.
problem. Not a problem. So yeah, Sangam the Awakening. It revolves around. It's a very yeah. It revolves around kingdoms in southern India, and yeah, it has twins. It has mystery. It has a little bit of mythology, a lot of Indian history, southern Indian history, especially around Tamil Nadu. So yeah, that's what it's centered around. So technically, there are like five kingdoms, and their fates rest on the decisions and the lives of twins. So that's sort of the umbrella or the synopsis of the book.
And the cover page also seemed to be very interesting. Like, how did
Yeah,
you
it's a
design the?
scene from a it's a scene from the book. I sort of wanted I wanted it to be there. One of the main scenes that happen in the book. I wanted it to be there as a cover page because it was something that really, when I was writing the book, I knew I wanted this to be the cover page. Like if this was something that wanted to be visualized, then it had to be the cover page. So yeah, I was. That's what inspired the cover page of the cover. Yeah, the cover page of the book.
You personally designed it, or it was given to
No,
the
I
designers?
sought help. I sought help, but I gave the idea. So my publisher, they sort of dealt with it.
And the fantasy and the fiction, which is this book, the genre is about. So, like, you had interest on the fiction kind of genre, or you tried to get a reality also in this fiction book? It is completely
Um,
fiction, or does it even have realities in it? That is my point.
See, there are realities as well. I mean, fiction revolves around everything that is real. It's just exaggerated elements. That's how I view fiction as. Um, So, what the realities that occur in this book are reactions towards specific incidents or how people would generally approach a certain situation and what corruption does and how it, sort of berates a country or just begins degenerating everything, every being involved, or, yeah, like as in negativity, how it impacts everybody else. So that in itself is reality. It's just in kingdoms. And it's just a fantasy sort of environment and situation. And that's what you place reality in that. So that sort of becomes fiction.
Actually, when it is about the kingdoms and the golden period of history, can you tell us more facts and your opinion regarding this this historical connection between your books?
Uh, the only connection that I want my book series to share with actual Indian history is that this series needs to take place before the Chola rule. So
Mhm.
it sort of sets the pace to what Indian history would be like. So that's how, towards the end of the series, I imagine my book series to be, sort of setting the stage for current history, like what we know is history. I want it to be that way. So that's like the only connection it has. Otherwise, the remaining is sort of elements from the Chola rule, which is like the governments they follow, the navies, the army, the formations, everything. So it was extensive research that I had to conduct, and yeah, so that was it. I mean, the rest was just my imagination.
The central protagonist, a young girl of 8 with the progressy and the inevitable decision at her feet. Jayashree, the adopted daughter of the army commander, a part of the scale of the justice alongside her twin, Atulan. Who is your
Yeah.
favorite character in the story? Is it Jayashree or Atulan?
Um, it's neither. My favorite character is the commander in chief of the Royal Navy. So his name is Kumaran,
Okay.
and yeah, that's my favorite character. So Jayashree and Atulan are aspects of who I am as a person. They just share, like sort of shreds of my personality. Kumara completely encompasses who I am. So, yeah,
Like a
he is my
commander.
favorite character. Sorry?
Like Kumaran is the commander.
Yeah, he's
So
the
you
commander of the Royal Navy. So, my personality is sort of in Kumara.
so like a dominator or something like that.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can view it like that. He's a leader as well, but he also has a very wry sense of humor. And the way he reacts to incidents or way he reacts to negativity or situations and stuff like that, and how you approach, like, he's very wily, he's very cunning, and he's very sharp. So, these are, prominent aspects of the kind of a person I am. I also have a wry sense of humor, and I'm also pretty sarcastic. So that's also him.
I don't know. I'm getting very curious to know more about Kumaran. So I'll be getting your book very soon. Definitely
Definitely.
I'll read, and I'll let you know about him. Actually, this itself, I like these kind of commanders, and like it shouldn't be like commander who's always serious into his work.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
should be sarcastic too. That is what which
exactly.
inspires me a lot. And I've come across a line. She's Durga, she's Shakti, she is in all of us. We just need to channel her. How did you represent the godness with every woman?
Okay, so the women in my story are very different from how how women were perceived in medieval history. They were more submissive. They were very they were very quiet. They were passive beings. In my story, all the women take charge. There is a woman chieftain of a village. She is also a warrior. She is also a captain. And then there is Jayashree as well. She's also training amongst boys her age and older, and she's also part of the Gurukula. There are the various queens involved. They're very active in their role and in their council. So yes, I wanted to represent it that way because I felt that women should be portrayed as not just passive beings just because you have to be, truthful to history. Sometimes you can bend it.
Mhm.
And this is what I wished for women to be that way in medieval India. I wanted them to be strong. I wanted everyone to view a woman as not just, a very quiet person, a very docile being. I wanted them to be viewed as people with the power to change. So that's what I wanted women to be perceived as. And that's why I took it upon myself to make women as warriors, more like, or people with
That is what.
commands. So I enjoy
So
that. So, yeah.
so this fiction actually helps in motivating women readers also. Like usually when I come across this history class, what I came across with this woman in the back on those days was this sati system, and they were being
Yeah.
tortured in a very brutal way. So this will actually help. This is actually a very good approach you have taken, and this is
Yeah.
also said by one of your fan. And his name is Ranjit, so he wanted to tell you about this, like you
Oh,
have
thank
come
you.
across a good approach, and you showed women were strong, whereas in
Yeah.
reality at the back on those old days they weren't. So this is
They
a
weren't
nice
that strong. Yeah. They
mm,
didn't have the ideal support, and not many people, wanted to give support to them. So,
which is more important according to you, story, plot, or characterization?
all. I mean, how else would you create a book? If you don't have a good
Mhm.
plot line, you're not going to be satisfied with the end result. If you're not going to
Mhm.
be happy with your characters, how are you going to further a plot? Because a plot cannot be static, it has to be dynamic. And yeah, that all of those elements depend on how your story is going to be, how your end result is going to be. At the end of the day, you need to be accepting of how everything will change as you write a book, as you progress with each chapter that you write, or with each line that you write, even for that matter, because it can change, or it can open up a lot of different channels for you. So yeah, characters, storyline, plot line, whatever it is, you name it, everything involved in the writing process is very important.
Very important, yes.
Yeah.
And now my another question is, what is your favorite line in your book?
Ooh. It's, I think, I mean, not really a line, but I think it's a scene. I'll, I don't really have the
Yeah,
page
read.
open right now. But yeah, it's the scene of when, I'll just uh, sort of give you an idea.
Okay.
It's a war scene, and
Hmm.
it's when one of the most courageous women fighting on the field, she dies, and how she dies is,
Hmm.
that's my favorite scene. So when you read it, it will be the Battle of Arul Gramam, which is a coastal village in one of the main kingdoms. And yeah, with the war and the sort of, it was a riot. You can say it's a riot. So with the riot, there's the young chieftain. She witnesses her mother's death. So
Okay.
that's the scene that I absolutely like. It's a very heart wrenching scene. It's a very action packed scene. So
So the concept right, which you told, what do you think right in reality? Like, is it right or is it wrong? The people in the name of honor killing, they kill people in reality also. So your idea on it. What is your idea on the riot actually happening in India?
depends on the cause. In all
Mm-hmm.
honesty, it depends on the cause. So I mean, if you're fighting for something, I mean, everybody fights for what they believe in. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, um, how it affects society and how it affects people around you, that also needs to be taken into consideration. With regard to my book, when I was writing down the scene, that was because there was a man that was the previous chieftain of the village was um, unjustly murdered. So that was what caused a riot, because it was absolutely unnecessary in the eyes of the chieftain and his family and the villagers. But what they did not realize was that this death was supposed to start something, like a series of events that would take place over the course of the next 8 years. They didn't realize that, and it would all be bad. It would all negatively affect society. So yeah, every action that you make, riot or not, it does have its effect on society. You just need to be aware of what you do. So I mean, if you riot for the right cause, go ahead. We all give you your support. We all give you our support.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And there is an unknown fan of yours. He wanted to ask you one question. So,
Okay.
will their newfound powers be a doom for the glorious empire? This is so
You'll
interesting.
have to
Your view on
read.
it.
You will have to read the book. You'll have to read it, and you'll probably have to wait for the next series. That's a suspense that I'm not willing to give. It's an answer I'm
Okay.
not willing to give. But yeah, the prophecy sort of states it already in a
Hmm.
manner of speaking. But yeah, so the book opens with a prophecy. The last few lines, the kingdom will fade, but leaving but two in its wake. So those are the two lines. Yeah, that depends on the actions of the twins, and we'll have to see where that goes. So you'll have to just keep waiting for the next book.
The place translates to the city of knowledge in Tamil. So a temple to the goddess and structures are embedded in most of this Tamil Nadu and Tamil culture and Tamil Nadu the temples in Tamil Nadu. So what is your ideology like connecting like there are various temples, but your ideology is to connect through the Tamil Nadu. It is obviously because the story connects to Tamil Nadu. The question here it was asked is the setting and the place plays a central role in the novel. Can you elaborate on the Sangam Tamil lands and rivers?
Okay, so the place and the setting are completely my imagination.
Mhm,
It wasn't based on a specific location within the Sangam Tamil lands at that period.
mhm,
Um, what it was based on were the different character traits of what an ideal king should be. He should be courageous, he should be wise, he should be just. All of that combined together creates an ideal king, you can say, of sorts. So, when I meant by Vivekalayam, which is the city that you mentioned, that directly translated to the kingdom of knowledge or the city of knowledge, the central goddess was supposed to be Saraswati because goddess of knowledge in Hindu mythology.
mhm,
So, it the placement of all of these kingdoms was it's absolutely fantasy oriented. It's fantastical. It's not anything related to do with the Tamil Nadu map as of that time. But yeah, I wanted the kingdoms and the kings, the characteristics and the buildings and everything else to emanate the qualities that the kingdom held. So, for example, there were like quite many kingdoms introduced, which was Devaprastha was the main one, Vivekalayam was the second, and Veeranilayam was the third.
mhm,
So Devaprastha is termed as the city of the gods, or the kingdom of the gods. And it was named that way because the king present in that city or in that empire, he is a person that emanates all of these qualities. He is just, kind, he's also intelligent, and he's courageous. All of these factors that represents him. Vivekalayam, um, it only represents the king represents a very intelligent person, and he's cunning and he's wily and he's very he's just more intelligence oriented, and so he's
mhm,
very smart. Whereas Veeranilayam is a person who you know emphasizes strength, emphasizes courage, and he upholds courage greater than any other factor, and he'll govern only on that. So there are quite many flaws, there are strengths, and all of that add character to the story. So I mean, it's not based on, in short, it's not based on any actual location in Tamil Nadu, but yeah, it does incorporate Tamil architecture and history. in a way.
Your favorite, when you told me that architecture and history, your favorite temples in Tamil Nadu, can you name any one or two?
My all-time favorite is the big temple in Tanjavur, the
Tanjavur.
Brahateshwar temple. So yeah, that's my favorite temple.
One of my favorite temples in Tamil Nadu is that in Madurai, Meenakshi Amman temple.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
That is
nice. I've never
this
been there.
it was built like 500 to 700 years ago itself.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
exactly.
So, like, when this is connecting to history, is there any your favorite historical leader or historical poet? Example, Tiruvalluvar, Bharadiyar, like that. Any of those leaders in history which you admire the most?
I think all of them because their works are very, very unique and they
Hmm.
were very detailed. And that's not something that you come across in English literature or any other piece of literature. So I mean, there's a lot of detail oriented with, even emotion. So
Hmm.
just like the portrayal of how how sad you feel or how happy you feel, how all of that is verbalized or how all of that is written, and the dialogues associated with each person. So all of that, it it was great. It was, I mean, I absolutely admire all of their works. I have no, favorite person because they're all very unique in their own specific way of writing. So yeah.
And their message were also very deep. So I've come across the actual meaning, which is translated in English by Thiruvalluvar. So the meaning in Tamil, it is quite difficult for this generation people to understand.
Yeah.
But when it was translated in English, the meaning were completely too deep. It kind of touched our hearts also. So this is
Yeah.
what actually made me more pursue and gained me so much interest in the poems written by the historical leaders.
Nice.
And my next question is, how can you describe the process of writing and publishing? Any tips for the aspiring writers that you would like to give?
Okay, so yeah, I mean there were quite many things that I learned when I was writing my first book. So the thing is, I never realized that a storyline could be dynamic. I had to constantly change the story. I had to constantly change the number of characters that appeared and the type of characters that appeared in a story. So everything when you write is dynamic unless you are absolutely satisfied with the story, with the end product. I believe in moving chapter wise instead of having everything as blocks.
Block.
So when you like approach a chapter, how it begins, how it connects to the previous chapter, what you wish to achieve, all of that can be addressed in a specific chapter. So your focus becomes more streamlined, and it becomes easier for you to approach a specific problem, you can say. And yeah, so other than that, there's the editing process, which also takes a very, very long time. It's highly recommended that people, push aside their work for at least 2 months or a month before they fully engage in editing their work, because it's not just looking at grammatical mistakes or something like that. You need to understand whether the reader will be able to make sense of what you're saying or what you're trying to convey. You'd also have to ensure that the reader doesn't throw your book away in the next, like the first 5 sentences or the first 2 sentences. For me, it's worse because if I don't gain the attention of a reader within, like let's say 2 seconds or like one sentence, I've lost it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, the first sentence needs to be able to catch the eye of the reader. So, all of that comes into place. So, your starting, your middle, and your ending are extremely important when you write a story. Another thing is that I find writing the beginning of a chapter to be very difficult and very challenging compared to the ending or even the middle. The middle you can handle because it's just a
Yeah.
continuation of what you're saying, or you already understand where your story is going, you already understand where the chapter is going. But Yeah, the beginning is what needs to catch. Again, every chapter needs to be, you need to approach every chapter differently. And what I mean by that is, when you begin writing a chapter and you have a specific idea you want to approach, or
Hmm.
you want to have a specific idea that you want to write about, there has to be different ways in which you can verbalize it. Like, what's the most interesting way, or how do you think a reader would feel if you had, written it a different way? It's all like various perspectives to a certain event. That's how you need to broaden your mind. So there's a lot of broadening, there's a lot of reading that needs to be involved as well. When you write, you have to read a lot of books, because that's the only way you'll improve your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also very important, because better vocab, better, you'd be able to verbalize more. So yeah, you'd be able to articulate yourself better. So yeah,
And one more question that I actually wanted to ask.
go ahead.
You are from a software genre where it is a very busy field. You will have plenty of work to do. How do
I
you get
was,
time
yeah.
to how do you get time to write this book?
um no one said it was going to be easy. Okay, so yeah, I used to, like, when the work from home situation started,
Hmm.
I had to sort of work from 9:30 in the morning till about 7, 8:30 in the evening. And after that, I would just give myself probably like 30 to 45 minutes, and then I would sit from like that time till 4, 5 in the morning.
Hmm.
So, or probably even go all night. So that's what I would do. I mean, when you really want to, when you're invested and when you're seeing progress, time and all that automatically comes. You immediately start managing time. So that's not really much of a problem.
And one more question that I wanted to ask, like usually a writer would have many challenges like reader's block and all these things. So how do you face those challenges and how do you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, so writer's block, it's a very deadly thing, because it can last even for days if you're not
Mhm.
careful, or if you don't really push yourself to, deviate your mind or try to figure something out. So the one of the many things that I did was listen to music or just move away from my workstation. So when you immediately start moving away and you do something completely unrelated to your work, or like you start
Hmm.
cleaning. For me, it's just immediately start cleaning or just doing some random thing, which is like listening to music, or just probably jamming to some good R&B and stuff. So yeah, for me it's like that. I mean, any other thing that's creative, but it's absolutely different from what I do. So it just keeps the brain sort of working, but it also allows you to relax. So
And you
yeah,
told music helps you to like come across the challenges, and you told you listen to R&B music. So who is
yeah.
your favorite music director?
There's no music director as such. I have a lot of. I listen to English. I listen to a lot of English music. Um, it depends on the decade, if you're asking me,
Like
because I listen to. Yeah, I listen to. If I want to listen to some good old music, it's probably the Beatles and the Who and the Doors. So like it's bands from all the way back then. Otherwise, if it's now, it's sort of like Billie Eilish. There are a lot of others, Ariana Grande, Camila Cabello, all of these people. So yeah, I mean, I'm more into that.
I am more into the weekend. I listen
Oh
to
yeah, yeah.
the
The Weeknd's also
and
good.
he's very good. Yeah, and Travis Scott and all these people.
Yeah,
Like they give kind of vibing kind of R&B songs.
yeah.
And who is your like? It depends on your situation, but there'll be a all-time favorite song of yours. Like, can you name any one your all-time favorite song?
I don't have one. I don't have one. Anything that's good, I go for it. I don't trouble myself too much. I got other things to worry about, not like favorite music or all-time favorite music. That's not something that I worry about. I mean, as long as if it sounds good and if it gets me in the mood, or if it gets me grooving, then it's good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what are your future plans?
Future plans would probably, hopefully, be a full-time, a proper publishing author with a good number of books. So that would be the dream.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's getting deeper into the writing field, understanding the various career options available as writers and the possibilities and stuff like that. So it's just exploring the field of writing. That's what I love to do right now. So, yeah.
And okay, now I'm going to come to this rapid fire round. The questions here, most of the questions here are being asked by the readers or the fans of your book. Okay,
Okay.
so first question is, you believe in myth or spirituality?
Spirituality.
Why?
I thought this was a rapid fire round.
Okay, okay, fine. Your favorite cuisine?
My favorite what?
Your favorite food, cuisine?
Oh, cuisine, Italian.
Italian. Your favorite travel destination?
Anywhere with a beach.
Okay. You're from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Do you watch Tamil movies?
Rarely, rarely. Don't come at me. I don't. I just rarely watch movies.
So you usually prefer movies or you prefer reading books?
Books.
Books. Your favorite movie director, which you could name one.
Quentin Tarantino.
I haven't heard this. There is one more option. I
The
don't.
movie director, right? Yeah, Quentin Tarantino. Yeah,
There's one more question asked by a fan. Have you ever come across the name called Mani Ratnam and Gautam Menon?
yeah, yeah. I have.
So, whose movie would you rather choose? It like would you go for Mani Ratnam's movie or Gautam Menon's movie? That is the question asked.
Oh, I don't know. As I said, I'm not a movie buff, so I really, really don't know. I mean, I've come across their names. I'm not really. I don't know their movies. I'm so sorry.
Like, if you were to write an autobiography, what would the title of the book be?
I wouldn't write an autobiography. I'm not sure. I mean, I would never write an autobiography because I think that's. I mean, yeah, obviously the point is for it to be personal and for
Mhm.
it to dive into your personal life. So I'm not really open to. I'm not that welcoming about that fact. So I would rather be a little personal and not divulge into my life or ask other people or make other people divulge into my life. And the entire point of an autobiography, I know it should be inspiring, or it should, as in, yeah, that I feel that is the point of an autobiography.
Mhm.
But yeah, so if hopefully I inspire someone or some people or a few people, then I might consider the idea. But I'm not sure. I mean, for now, it's a no. I wouldn't want to write an autobiography.
And the next question here it is like, who's your favorite author and why?
Ugh, there are so many. Um, okay, so there are a lot of. There's obviously J.K. Rowling. There's Veronica Roth. There's George R. R. Martin. There is. There are quite a few. So the list quite honestly goes on.
Hmm.
Um, why they are my favorites is because they've opened up an entire world for me when I was young, and they sort of inspired me to be the person that I am today. And yeah, Like they helped me when it came in terms to creativity and how, to approach writing, and how writing can be something that you can enjoy, and it's a very difficult task,
Hmm.
but they made it seem like it they made it seem to me that I really wanted to do this from the very beginning, and I did. So I owe all of my interest to them, to all of these writers that I absolutely admire.
What is your opinion on Chetan Bhagat and his book? This is one of the question asked by a fan.
See, I'm not a romance novel sort of a person. I don't do romance. Um, but yeah, I mean, he has written quite a few good books. I haven't read them, but I have heard a lot of yeah, I have heard a lot of good reviews about them. So I mean, if he's been able to touch the base in India, then it's
Mhm.
probably something that he's done right. There's something that he's done right, right? So yeah, I mean, Chetan Bhagat, I don't know, I haven't read his books. I'm not into romance, so I'm
Okay.
more action, suspense, and thriller.
And the last question here is which comics you like? You like Avenger Marvel comics or you like DC comics? This is the question asked by a fan.
Um, Marvel.
Marvel comics.
Yeah.
It is a great time interacting with you, Tejaswini
Thank you.
Sundar Akkar. Okay, I'll call you Tejaswini Sundar
Please. No.
because you are like an elderly person, so I can't call you out of the name just like that. That is why I was like
You can.
Akkar.
I just told you you can.
And please inspire us more with interviews and with more of your books. And this is signing off from Savajit Karo. We really had a great time with
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.